welcome to the deep dive. Today we're shifting gears a little bit.
Yeah, moving away from the usual science papers for a moment.
Right. We're digging into some notes, actually, from a study of an ancient text specifically, the book of Numbers, chapter 33.
Numbers 33. Okay, and if you've ever, glanced at it, your first thought might be, well, it's a list.
Really is. A very long list of place names.
Yeah, these study notes nail it. They call it basically a travel log or an itinerary.
Listing all the places the Israelites stopped, right? On their journey from Egypt all the way to the Promised Land. It just goes on and on, verse after verse, name after name.
Seems pretty dry, honestly.
On the surface, yeah. Like maybe one of the drier chapters you could find. Just geographical points.
But these notes, they really zero in on something right at the start, verse 2.
Yes, and this is where it gets interesting. It says, and I'm pulling from the notes here, at the Lord's command, Moses recorded the stages in their journey. This is their journey by stages.
And that phrase, that's the whole pivot point, isn't it? At the Lord's command, Moses recorded.
Exactly.
So this wasn't just Moses keeping like a personal diary or jotting notes for a map maker later.
No.
The act itself, writing down this whole journey, stage by stage, it was commanded. God told him to do it.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive then. We want to understand why. Why would God command that? Why record this seemingly simple list of stops?
And how do these notes interpret it? Not just as history, not just geography.
But as a testimony, they say, of what God has done for Israel.
Okay, and then there's the next layer, the really intriguing part.
Which is, what could this ancient God-ordered travel log possibly mean for us, for understanding our own life journeys today?
It really sets up that central question, doesn't it? When you, listening right now, look back at your life, can you start to see places where God might have been, well, actively involved?
Doing something for you during your journey.
Yeah, just like this passage suggests. He was doing for Israel during their, let's face it, long and often really difficult trek.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, as these notes point out, and as we know the story, the Israelites' journey, it wasn't exactly point A to point B.
Oh, definitely not. No straight line there.
There was wandering, lots of stops, detours, seasons that must have felt incredibly long. Difficult.
Well, and that's what makes it so relatable, you know? Our lives often feel just like that.
Totally.
We move forward, maybe we have to change direction completely. We hit roadblocks we didn't see coming.
Spend years feeling like you're just stuck in a holding pattern.
Or just navigating seasons of confusion, like where am I even going?
Yeah.
These notes draw that direct line, suggesting that just as God was with them through every single one of those stops,
He's with you too, through every stage, your journey.
And that suddenly makes this list feel, well, not just historical, but potentially really relevant.
It does. And the notes then offer some really practical ways to think about this, drawing from that core idea of a divinely recorded journey.
Yeah, one of the first things they suggest is, like, the value of actually looking back at your own life journey, stage by stage.
Just like the chapter does for Israel.
Exactly. It's kind of an encouragement to just pause and reflect a bit. Ask yourself, okay, where have I actually been? What have I gone through?
What did I learn?
Yeah.
Maybe. What was God doing then, even in the tough moments?
It's almost like an invitation to write down your own life stages, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. Just the act of listing them. Maybe it's, college first job, that really hard transition, unexpected opportunity, that season of rest I needed.
Right. Putting it down like that can shift your perspective, help you see a thread, maybe a narrative that you just don't see when you're in the thick of it day to day.
Totally.
And then here's where it gets really powerful, I think. Another major point in these notes.
Okay.
The detours matter. Those times in life that honestly can feel like huge mistakes, failures, or just a complete waste of time and energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't felt that? Like you took a wrong turn somewhere or spent years stuck in something that felt totally unproductive.
Everyone relates to that. But the perspective here, and it's rooted in the fact that God commanded all the stages to be recorded.
Even the wandering. The 40 years in the wilderness.
Even that. The idea is that from God's viewpoint, nothing in your journey is wasted.
Wow.
Every single stop, every season, every detour, even what looks like a massive failure to you, it can have a purpose within the bigger journey. He's guiding.
That's a pretty radical shift in thinking, isn't it?
It really is.
It reframes all those confusing parts, the painful times, the periods where you felt stuck.
Right. Not as errors that messed up the plan.
But as integral stages. Maybe even necessary ones, part of the itinerary all along, even if you couldn't see why at the time.
And building on that, drawing directly from Moses actually recording the journey, the study notes bring up a third application: the importance of recording and maybe even sharing your own story.
Oh, okay. So Moses didn't just write it for himself.
No, he wrote it down by command as a testimony for future generations.
So the notes are suggesting that our journey, the stages we've been through, the challenges, what we learned, that story has value.
Exactly. What might feel like just your personal experience, your ups and downs, it could actually be like a roadmap someone else desperately needs.
Oh, someone who's right in the middle of their own confusing stage.
Precisely. Sharing your testimony, how you navigated different stops, how you got through, that can offer real hope, perspective, maybe just encouragement to someone else.
Okay, so pulling these threads together then, from our dive into these notes on Numbers 33.
Yeah.
The main takeaway seems to be that your life, just like that journey of the Israelites, it isn't just a series of random, disconnected events happening to you.
Right. It's presented more like a guided process. God is with you, involved, one stage at a time.
So just like Moses recorded that ancient travel log, stage by stage, showing God's presence in action through their history.
We're kind of invited to look at our own lives that way, seeing that divine hand guiding our personal itinerary.
And, well, that leaves us with something pretty profound to chew on after this deep dive, doesn't it? If we really take this seriously. The idea that every single stage, every pause, and maybe crucially, every detour in your life's journey has a purpose in God's eyes.
Yeah.
How does that fundamentally change how you look back? Especially at the really tough parts, the confusing times, the seasons that felt like a total waste.
And thinking forward, if that perspective holds true for where you've already been, what might that mean for how you face the stages that are still to come? How you approach the unknown parts of your journey ahead?